Hey monkeys! How you doing? Damian Keys here. All right, something slightly different for today. I've got a question. In fact, I've got a debate, something we can all argue about, lose our shit over. The question is this: if you had to delete a decade of music, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the noughties, you're not allowed to delete 2010 to 2020, because that hasn't finished yet and we never know what's coming. If you had to delete one of those decades, which would it be? Now, before you answer, there is a rule. And the rule is influence doesn't count. If you get rid of the 60s and you get rid of Led Zeppelin, then Rage Against the Machine doesn't exist. That doesn't count. This is in my imaginary world, so I get to make up the rules. So the thing we're talking about here is just deleting one decade. Are you going to delete the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, or the noughties? And it means that if you delete the 90s, you'll lose quite a lot of the Metallica back catalogue, but you will get the Metallica stuff from after that. So, which are you going to delete? And it is a really difficult question because every decade has some really fantastic music. Would you delete the 60s? What, you delete the Beatles? Are you crazy? The Stones, the Who, you delete that? Are you crazy? The 70s, now for me, I couldn't ever delete the 70s because just the production of music for me is just, I mean, I could go to the record shop right now and buy an album from a great 70s band I probably never even heard of and still appreciate the production and, Free and Bad Company and Queen. There's so much great stuff from the 70s. What about the 80s? Could delete the 80s. What? You delete Michael Jackson? Are you crazy? What? Bon Jovi? Appetite for Destruction? I mean, I couldn't delete all that stuff. You too? You mental? Maybe the 90s. We should delete the 90s. Hang on a minute. 90s. What? You're going to delete Oasis? You're going to delete the Radiohead? I mean, there's some big stuff in the 90s. Girl power. There's so much good stuff in the 90s. Yeah, I suppose it would have to be modern stuff. The noughties. I could not delete the noughties because of all the stuff we're talking about. It's probably the stuff I listen to the most because I come from that Kerrang generation. And there was so much stuff from 2001 right the way through. I couldn't get rid of that. No way. So whatever you're thinking, which is it? You've got to delete one. That's just the rule. Which one are you going to delete? The 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the noughties? Yes, every decade has got its shit music, but every decade has got something that's just unlosable. Which would you delete? I'll see you guys tomorrow.